seem to be talking a lot about something called intuitive eating these days. You may have heard about it yourself, and you might be wondering whether or not it's a good approach for you to follow. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what intuitive eating is and share 4 questions that you can ask yourself that will help determine whether or not intuitive eating is right for you. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon. This way you'll be notified every time a brand new video gets posted, and you'll be able to learn all my best tips and secrets for how to reprogram your brain to stay on track with healthy choices. Okay, before we get into figuring out how to tell if intuitive eating is right for you, let's take just a moment to get clear on exactly what intuitive eating is. According to WebMD, intuitive eating is a simple idea. It means that you make peace with all types of food. Unlike traditional diets that restrict or ban certain foods, intuitive eating requires you to stop looking at food as good or bad and instead listen to your body and eat what feels right for you. Another way I've heard intuitive eating described is that you simply listen to your body. Sounds lovely, right? Ditching the idea of having rules around food and simply letting your body tell you what it needs, how much and when. What's not to love about that? And as a nutritionist and a coach who's constantly encouraging my clients and students to listen to their bodies, I fully support this approach to eating, and I think that it's something we should all be striving towards. However, before you run off and decide that you're now an intuitive eater, let's find out if you're a good candidate for this way of eating. Because the truth is, I've seen lots of people attempt to eat intuitively with disastrous results. So, I want to share with you 4 questions that will help you determine whether or not intuitive eating is an approach that will work for you. Ready? All right, here we go. Number 1, do you only eat when you're hungry as a way to fuel and nourish your body? Meaning, you rarely eat just because you're bored or stressed or just because it's there. Just make a note to yourself, yes or no. Number 2, do you have a clear sense of how it feels in your body when you're hungry, when you're satisfied, when you're full? Again, just note, yes or no. Number 3, do you have a clear understanding of which foods work well for your body and which do not? And finally, number 4, do you trust your body to know what's best for it at any given time? So, 4 questions. Note which ones are yeses and which are nos. Number 1, do you only eat when you're hungry? Number 2, do you know how it feels in your body when you are hungry, when you are satisfied, and when you are full? Number 3, do you know which foods work well for your body and which do not? Number 4, do you fully trust your body? How did you do? Let me know in the comments below. Did you get how many yeses, how many nos? If you answered no to one or more of these questions, first, you're not alone. And second, if that's the case, then I would hold off on intuitive eating right now. In fact, I think that before most people can truly eat intuitively in a healthy way, there's an earlier step that needs to happen in order to get you to a place where you can answer yes to all or most of the questions I just shared. Because intuitive eating in a healthy way requires us to be able to recognize and understand what our bodies are telling us. That means that before we can trust that we'll make good choices with intuitive eating, we need to first relearn how to speak our body's language. See, the idea of intuitive eating assumes that you and your body already have excellent communication in your relationship. And my experience of working with hundreds of women who have spent their lives yo-yoing and on and off different diets and eating approaches, my experience is that for most people, this is simply not the case. You see, dieting doesn't do much to help you lose weight or keep it off, but it does do one thing really well, and that is to train you to completely ignore and distrust your body. Right? Think about it. What does dieting really teach us? If you're hungry, ignore it. If you're craving something, ignore it. If you want more, ignore it. So, over years or decades of practicing this, we've gotten really, really good at ignoring our bodies. To the point now where when we might want to try something like an intuitive eating that would require us to recognize and understand the messages our body is sending us, we really struggle to do that. So this is why I think that before we can really be ready for something as radically different as intuitive eating, we need a bit of a baby step, a stepping stone. And for me, that is mindful eating. To me, mindful eating is like a precursor to intuitive eating. Mindful eating helps you relearn your body's language and gives you a better way to practice getting good at hearing and understanding what your body is actually telling you. Eating mindfully is simply about paying attention. Paying attention when we're first feeling hungry or experiencing a craving. Paying attention while we're eating to find out what satisfied and full actually feel like in our bodies. And paying attention to how different foods feel in our bodies so we can know what works for us and what doesn't. Once we've spent some time practicing these skills, then we'll be in a much better place to answer yes to the 4 questions I shared earlier and begin to enjoy all the benefits that intuitive eating can offer us. If you want to learn more about mindful eating and exactly how to use it in your own life, consider joining me for my free 5-day mindful eating challenge that's starting soon. This is a fun little challenge that absolutely anyone can do. You'll leave the 5 days with some really practical tools to help you become a more mindful eater, which will allow you to start to hear and understand the messages your own body is sending you about what to eat, how much, and when, which means you'll be in the perfect position then to start to explore something like intuitive eating. You can get all the details about the free mindful eating challenge at the link in the description below. And if you found this video helpful or useful, please help me by giving it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you can keep learning new tools and strategies for reprogramming your brain to stay on track with healthy choices more easily, so that making the healthy choices just becomes your new normal. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.